Well, good afternoon and welcome everyone. Today's review has now brought us here for a much more up-close and personal encounter with the 2014 Hyundai Elantra SE. And now, with all of that being said, this is going to be a complete and in-depth review of the Elantra. And this does entail a complete startup and overview of the engine, as well as a good look at many of the unique and notable styling cues and multiple features, technologies, and creature comforts that now make up one of the most award-winning four-cylinder compact vehicles in Hyundai's lineup. And so, bearing all that new information in mind, let's go ahead and climb aboard and we'll check it out. To begin with, our nicely equipped SE tester today is wearing the Desert Bronze metallic exterior. Our particular example today is also sporting the optional preferred package, details of which we'll cover throughout their appropriate times in the review. And beautifully complementing the brightness and depth of this Desert Bronze exterior, our particular vehicle's interior has been fully upholstered in a standard beige cloth. Now, with the SE now being the most basic trim level available for the 2014 Elantra, underneath the new Sport and Limited trim levels, it does come standard with a soft grain 4-spoke multi-function steering wheel, very tight and very fluidic hydraulic power assisted steering, plenty of feedback in the wheel overall, and a nice soft supple grain to the soft grain material overall, nice grip extensions up top, with nice little ridges along the back edge of the steering wheel, providing plenty of rest for your fingers, along with plentiful controls for all sorts of electronic creature comforts, part of which comes from the preferred package in this vehicle, all wrapped in a nice bit of painted silver accenting on both sides of the wheel. Now, regardless of which trim level you pick, be it SE, Sport, or Limited trim levels, the Elantra can come with 2 available transmissions. More basic models, and even optional on trim levels like the Sport, you can get a 6-speed, short-throw manual transmission, or, like we have in our case today, the electronically controlled Shift-tronic 6-speed automatic transmission, with available Shift-tronic manual shifting capabilities just to the left-hand side of the drive portion of the shifter. Just pull it down to go down a gear, and push forward to go up a gear. Now, even though this car only has a very small 4.2-inch LCD display here in the center console, with the preferred package, it actually comes with a reverse backup camera. And it also comes with child protective electronic safety locks, which will automatically lock the vehicle when all the doors are closed and the car is put into gear, and will only unlock the vehicle when the car is put back into park. Very nice. Only the driver's side window is automatic in the down direction. Now again, depending on which trim level you pick in the 2014 Elantra, you have a choice of 2 available power plants. More basic models like this one have 1 available power plant, while optional trim levels such as the Sport get a 2-liter dual overhead cam, 16-valve, gasoline, direct fuel injected inline 4-cylinder engine with about 180 horsepower and about 170 pound-feet of torque. But in our case today, we actually have the lesser power plant for the more basic trim level of this car. For its 2014 model year refreshment, Hyundai now offers 2 available powertrains for the 2014 Elantra sedan. More basic models such as the SE we see here, and even the upscale models such as the Limited, come with Hyundai's standard 1.8-liter dual overhead cam, 16-valve inline 4-cylinder engine, which has been equipped with Hyundai's signature dual continuous variable valve timing. It produces 145 horsepower and 130 pound-feet of torque. Running on regular unleaded gasoline, expect to see an EPA miles per gallon rating of 28 miles per gallon in the city and 38 miles per gallon on the interstate highway. Manual transmissions and more powerful engines will vary the fuel economy dependent on how much horsepower they produce, how much the vehicle is maintained over time, and also depending on driving conditions like weather and so on. And now let's see about a few revs of that little 1.8-liter four-banger and see what kind of soundtrack she produces. Definitely a nice little zippy sounding 1.8-liter four-banger, but all the same, very smooth power transition, not a single bit of movement here in the cabin when the engine is revved. And with all that in mind, let's go ahead and turn on the headlights. You do have the option of them being automatic, as well as turn on the standard fog lights, and the hazard lights as usual. And now let's take this opportunity to walk around the exterior of the Elantra SE. Now, anyone who has followed Hyundai for the past few years know that the design of this Elantra is not all new. It came out in 2011 when Hyundai decided to make all new game changes to a lot of their lineup, such as changes with the 2011 Sonata, which was the first game-changing vehicle on the lineup. But here and there they've made several tweaks to make the Elantra a little bit more appealing to all sets of eyes. The first thing of which is these black bezeled standard halogen headlights with these beautiful white illuminating accents running around the edge of the headlight itself. They sort of illuminate when the headlight is shined off of them, although there is no individual bulb that illuminates that white piece itself. Now, as an upgrade over the standard version of the SE, the preferred package on this vehicle includes this set of painted gray 16-inch aluminum alloy wheels, wrapped in hand-cooked summer tires, intermittent rain-sensing wipers, although our vehicle today does not have it, the Elantra is available with a power tilting and sliding sunroof. Very fluidic and curvaceous design to the exterior of the vehicle. You can see all sorts of little fluidic curvaceous lines like going over the wheel arches, and also the line that traces right along the top just underneath the edge of the door that follows all the way to the front wheel arch. Much more rounded rear taillights. Now with a slightly refined interior design, you can see a little bit more rounded off appearance to the interior lights. More upper spec trim levels will get the LED taillights, as you'll see later on. As sort of a signature styling cue on a lot of Hyundai's vehicles, you see this sort of kind of ducktail spoiler coming off the rear of the deck lid. Standard rear heating defrosting glass. Shark fin style antenna for the XM satellite radio and AM/FM radio connections. Overall, a beautiful redefined design for an already popular, rather beautiful little four-cylinder compact. And now that we've had a look around the exterior of the Elantra, let's take a better look at some of the features on the interior. As stated previously, this particular vehicle is sporting the light beige cloth interior. Manually adjustable driver and passenger seats. But even with this being a more basic vehicle, you do get a lot more of your standard electronic creature comforts, including an automatic down driver's side window, the rest of your power windows, your door locks, your window locks, and your power mirrors. Also your active eco mode, which we've explored in several other Hyundai vehicles already, but we'll talk about that in just a minute. Traction control, instrument dimming, a manual tilting and telescoping steering wheel, and a few other additional creature comforts, which we'll cover here in a second. Door closes with a nice authoritative thunk. And stepping into the interior of the Elantra, it really is nothing new from the vehicle that's been around for the past 3 years. But at the same time, Hyundai has made nice little changes here and there to kind of keep people on their toes when it comes to what's coming out next. As you can see, the dashboard is nice and easily laid out. Plentiful accents of painted silver and also the black piano veneer, which is seen in a lot more of Hyundai's luxury cars, but still is kind of carried over into some of the more economy cars as little bits of styling here and there, including here on top of the gear knob, and as you can see, a nice hefty amount of it around the small 4.2-inch display with standard backup camera. Looking right in front of you, it almost looks like you've got a pair of cat's eyes looking back at you, seeing the outline and shape of these surrounds surrounding the tachometer and speedometer over here, with your standard LCD display here in the middle with your active miles per gallon, and also your engine temperature and fuel gauge, and also your miles. Now really quickly, just to kind of retouch on the active ecosystem, basically what it does is you can either leave it off like it is now, or turn it on. As you can see, the small little green eco indicator up here on all of your engine lights and warning lights. And basically what that does is it adjusts your throttle timings and transmission timings to allow the vehicle to be driven at its more fuel efficient points. Now, being that it says it's active eco, how it works is when you're driving, as long as the little green icon is being displayed, basically it will make the vehicle drive at its most fuel efficient, or it shows when you're driving at your most fuel efficient. However, if you are not driving at your most fuel efficient, the light will actually disappear, letting you know that the vehicle's gone back to sort of its normal settings. Now here in the center console, you've got things like your radio, including XM satellite radio as well. The meetings were boring. For real, I was snoring. The VP was fine, yeah, she made me kind of horny. But you've also got the availability to turn the display off even when the radio's on. You've got your single disc CD changer up top. And if you press the radio button, you can go between FM radio, different versions of that, your AM radio, and a few different channels of your XM satellite radio subscription as well. You've also got your seek track buttons, your category and plant and folder, such as when you're working with your iPod or something, as this vehicle also does come standard with iPod auxiliary and USB. Up here you've got your different media buttons. Again, that relates to the iPod auxiliary input, but you've also got your phone button, the ability to mute the radio, scan the radio, and also your overall setup. You can see your sound setting and such. You can adjust the bass, treble, middle range, and also the different fader and balance and so on. As you can see, this is also a touchscreen display, so if you don't want to use the buttons, it's all touch sensitive. Now here in the center, it's got a single zone climate control system, your fan speed up top, front and rear defroster, multiple climate zones here in the center. You've got your temperature control down low, turn it all the way to the left for the maximum air conditioning. And as part of the preferred package in this particular vehicle, you have dual stage heated front driver and passenger seats. Kind of a unique little option being that these seats actually are cloth. Normally you would associate heated seats with leather seats, but all the same, definitely a nice little touch. Now also speaking of the preferred package, you do have plentiful amounts of electronic creature comforts up here on the steering wheel, and a couple of which are actually quite noteworthy. Up here on the left, you've got your radio and volume controls, and so on and so forth. Part of the preferred package, hands-free Bluetooth here on your steering wheel, your cruise control settings, and also your trip function, and so on. But one other button that actually was brought to our attention is the mode button. When you press it, if you look up at the top of the display up here, it says comfort. Now, if I were to hit it again, puts it in normal, and then in sport. Basically, that button there is the one that basically allows the vehicle's different steering settings. So sport would be obviously a tighter steering wheel setting, the comfort would be a little bit more of a relaxed feel, and the normal would be somewhere right in the middle. Vanity mirrors. And overall, construction-wise, it's not what you'd expect from your everyday generic economy car. I mean, yes, there are a few hard-touch plastics, but they're all very nice, soft grain. But up here on the dash, it's actually more of a rubbery feel, so it does give a little bit to it. As you can see, nice little padded door panels here. You've got soft cloth inserts on the door panels, another part of the preferred package as well. And also things like this sort of rubberized black coating here around all of your mirrors and switches and so on. Also, optional drink holders, fore and aft on driver and passenger sides in both front and rear of the vehicle. Also, your carpeted floor mats with appropriate logos. Definitely a rather well-equipped car for such a basic model. Nonetheless, you still get a lot of options as standard in many Hyundai's vehicles nowadays anyways. So now with all that being said, let's go ahead and turn off the engine. Actually, what's funny about the key is if you stick it in, you actually have to push in and turn in order to actually release the key in the first place. Just a neat little tidbit of information. But with all that being done, let's go ahead and check out the rest of the Elantra. Again, being a small vehicle, it only has room for 5 people. But the amount of room you can actually get out of one of these cars is actually quite good. For example, this reviewer here is about 6'1". As you can see, the seat would be in the normal driving position where I would actually have it. And aside from the small indentions in the back of the seat, we actually have about 2 to 3 inches extra room between our knees and the back of the seat. So ultimately, even if your driver is a little bit on the taller side, at least your knees aren't going to be punching them square in the back. You can see the seats are nice and soft and supportive, very nice and thick to sit on. Small cargo compartment in the center with cup holders. And also a few extra headrests. And also the seats appear to be 60-40 split fold. You can actually open the trunk of the Elantra a couple of ways. The first is by using the key, the second of which is just the small trunk button at the bottom of the remote. As you can see, it pops right up, revealing quite a generous amount of cargo room for such a small vehicle. Your spare tire and everything located underneath. Optional cargo net included with this particular vehicle. Your 60-40 seats are just activated by the triggers here. Just pull on it. See, the seat just should fold right forward. Assuming you have the headrest in the correct position, the seat will actually fold flat, and it almost doubles your amount of cargo room between just having the seats up and the seats down. Again, a little bit more roominess than what you would expect from your average mid-size econo car. Now, one of the things you actually notice about the Elantra is the quality of this vehicle. Even for a car of its price tag, the quality is actually really good. Just take a listen when you close the door. It's not a tinny rattle, but more so a nice big thunk like you would expect on a higher quality vehicle of the same variety. Now, as far as standard safety features, some of the more basic ones is included on a lot of vehicles such as the Elantra are assisted braking systems, or ABS. You also have electronic stability control, pre-seatbelt tensioners, as well as front driver and passenger airbags, along with front side impact and also side curtain airbags, just to name a few. Now, taking a seat in the passenger side, you can see in this current position we actually have a lot of room. Even with me being about 6'1", I can stretch my legs out almost completely flat. And at the same time, even if I were to move the seat forward to allow for a little more leg room in the rear, not too uncomfortable here. As far as the glove box, it is a little bit damped, so it falls nice and soft, not lined with felt or anything like that, but still, nonetheless, plentiful amount of storage. Overall, the Elantra SE is definitely one of those vehicles that should be on the shopping list of somebody who's looking for a car, doesn't want to spend a whole lot of money, but still wants to have enough room, perhaps for some kids, or perhaps to take some friends somewhere to an event of some variety. Also a great back-to-school car as well. So viewers, I hope you've enjoyed this rather elongated look at the 2014 Hyundai Elantra SE. If you want to find out more information about this particular vehicle or any of the others in Hyundai's lineup, please feel free to do so by visiting your local Hyundai dealer, or if you happen to be in the Houston area like we are here, you can visit one of our 3 dealers here in Baytown off of Interstate 10, North Freeway off of Interstate 45, or Humble Hyundai off of Interstate 59 North. Hope you enjoyed the review, guys, and I hope to see you again soon.